this is Chris from Fader's Music in Brandon, Manitoba, Canada, and today's video I'm going to show you how to assemble an acoustic Loog guitar. First thing, of course, that you need to do is to get everything out of the box. You will have a Loog body, a neck, and a variety of parts. Inside the box, you'll have a tailpiece with a couple of screws. You'll have the strap buttons, also with a couple screws that look like this. The neck plate, which also has two bolts, the longer ones, the bridge and saddle, two pieces, and then your tuning pegs or machine heads with 6 screws. So the first thing that I like to do with this piece right here is I like to adjust it down all the way so that these two pieces of wood are touching. When you turn these bolts out, what it does is it clamps these two pieces of wood together, which when you get the bridge installed in the guitar, it'll actually lower the action to make it easier to play. You can always, if you find the action is too low and the strings are buzzing, once you get it all put together, you can tighten these and it'll actually raise that up to raise the action off the fingerboard. But I always like to start with it like this. So the first step in putting the acoustic Loog together is usually the tailpiece. It lines up with these 3 little holes sticking out over the bottom of the guitar, and you line up the 2 bigger holes with those ones. Take your screws that look like this with a flat top on them and push them through just like that, get them started, then grab a trusty screwdriver and tighten it down. Next thing is to mount the strap buttons to the bottom and the top of the guitar using these screws right here. There's pre-drilled holes right there and right there. It's pretty straightforward. Just take the screw, run it through with the flanged wide side facing out so that your strap can pop over it, and tighten them in. There are 2 little pieces of felt that come with the Loog as well, and it goes in between the strap button and the body of the guitar just to prevent the wood from getting scratched. Alright, now we've got our strap button mounted on the bottom and on the top. Next thing is the neck. The neck of the Loog just fits in the slot just like that. Sometimes it's really snug, sometimes there's a little bit of wiggle room just to move it around, but it should just fit in just like that. Now instead of mounting it from the front like this, usually what I like to do is flip the neck over like that, and then slowly and carefully slide the body of the Loog into place just like that, and that gives you access to your plate and your screws at the back here. So you put the plate on, line it up with the holes, grab the 2 longer screws, drop them in, and then once again take our trusty screwdriver and tighten those down. Now we have the neck attached. Flip the guitar back over and we're getting pretty close to being done. Now you can install the tuning pegs before you attach the neck to the body if you want to. It doesn't really matter what order you do it in. All you do to mount those on is you take the tuning pegs, push them through the holes, line up so that they line up with the little screw holes, like that. Grab these teeny tiny little screws. These small screwdrivers are a little bit easier to work with, these screws, and tighten those down exactly the same way. Alright, now we got this machine heads attached, and from the front it'll look like that, and the body looks like that. The next thing to do is to set the bridge in. It's pretty simple. You just take it, there's 2 little posts on the bottom, line them up, pop them in the holes just like that, and then your bridge saddle just fits right in that slot just like so. I'm not going to go into great detail with stringing it. There's plenty of videos out there that show you how to string a guitar. What I will show you is the first step in stringing it is you take one end of the string after you've unwound it and loop it around and tie it in a knot just like that. And that knot will act sort of like the ball on a set of steel strings, and when you run it through the hole in the bottom here just like that, line it up, push it through the hole, a little tricky like threading a needle, there we go, pull it through. What'll happen is it'll catch on that knot so that it's not going to go any further. And from there you can run it through up to the top of the headstock and wind it around the post. So I've got two of the strings on here. I just wanted to point out that once you have it wound around the string, around the string around the post, you'll have a bunch of excess string sort of dangling there. And what you can do is you can just take a pair of scissors or snips of some sort, and once it's wound around the post 2 or 3 times, I don't know if you can see that or not, then it'll hold itself in tune, and then you can just snip off the excess just like that. Once you have all the 3 strings on, you can also clip off the excess down at the bottom, and I'm not sure if you can see that, but that's what the underneath the tailpiece should look like. Those little knots are holding the strings in place. Now the Acoustic Loog does come with nylon strings, the plastic strings, and one thing I will say about the nylon strings is they will stretch and stretch and stretch and stretch. You'll tune the guitar, play it for a little bit, and the thing will be out of tune again. That is just the way classical guitar nylon strings are. They just stretch and stretch and stretch until they don't stretch anymore, and then they stay in tune really nicely. So when you tune the guitar, what I like to do is sort of yank on the string like this and pull it back kind of like a bow and arrow. Don't worry, you're not going to break it unless you'd really have to reef on it to break it. And then tune it up again, get it tuned up to pitch, and then yank on it again. And do that a few times, and then as you play it, over the course of a few days, as you play the guitar and tune it, eventually the stretch will all come out of the strings, and the strings will hold their tune really nicely. So once you have your Loog guitar all tuned up and ready to play, the final step is to select one of your pickguards. They come with 5 different colored pickguards in the box, you'll notice. And that's probably the easiest part of assembling the Loog. You just snap it on. These 2 little things here hook over the sound hole. I just usually push that up like that and then bend it a little bit, and it snaps on, and you've got a pickguard.